welcome to another edition of 2A Arsenal Roundup News. My name is Richard Espinosa. I am your host. 2A Arsenal Roundup News is your primary source for Second Amendment news, whether it be good, bad, or ugly, whether it be in blue states, red states, or anywhere around the United States that relates to important 2A legislation. We keep you informed as best as we can and give you all the important information that you're going to need. Well, we have breaking news, some real exciting victory by Gun Owners of America and the Virginia Defense League. The Gun Owners of America and the Virginia Defense League helped win a huge victory in the Commonwealth of Virginia as they put in a permanent injunction against the universal background checks. I'm going to read you from a press release from Gun Owners of America about this victory, why it's important, and how it will shape the future for the gun rights movement. So on Thursday of October 16th, Gun Owners of America has brung out this press release that I'm going to read to you right now. And it says, today, Gun Owners of America, Gun Owners Foundation, and the Virginia Citizens Defense League secured a permanent injunction against the state of Virginia's universal background check law, which is section 18.2/308.25 in the case of Wilson versus Hanley. GOA, GOF, and our allies filed suit in June of 2020 challenging the law as soon as it was enacted. Today's victory affirms that universal background checks are inconsistent with the Second Amendment. Eric Pratt, GOA's Senior Vice President, issued the following statement. This victory is fantastic news. Universal background checks are a massive infringement on the rights of law-abiding citizens, and they do nothing to stop criminals from getting guns. This victory is no doubt play major role in the next month's election. John Velko, Executive Vice President of GOA, added, for 5 years, Gun Owners Foundation fought for Virginia's rights to purchase firearms without infringement. Let this victory be a lesson to any Virginia legislator who might consider violating the Second Amendment. This is indeed a very important victory for Gun Owners of America for numerous reasons, especially with the governor's election going on between the Republican candidate Winston Earl Sears and the Democrat challenger Abigail Spanberger. Abigail Spanberger is no friend of the Second Amendment, and if she does get reelected, she'll basically reinstate all the gun control laws that Ralph Northam, the former governor of Virginia, has put on the table that infringes law-abiding citizens' rights. So that this is an extremely important victory. So this is something that the voters of Virginia need to think about. Why you need to elect Winston Earl Sears as your next governor. You need a governor who will stand up for your Second Amendment rights. But always remember, the label doesn't always matter, meaning that it doesn't matter if the person is Republican or Democrat. We have to hold them accountable. There are many Republicans out there who say that they're pro-gun, but they end up stabbing law-abiding gun owners in the back. So that is why you have to not take this for granted. Now, so far, from what I understand about Winston Earl Sears is that, she is a Marine veteran, and she has been overwhelmingly been popular with the people of Virginia. But it's also a matter of her keeping her word that she will stand up for law-abiding gun owners. And in case she doesn't, you know what to do. To all the people from the Commonwealth of Virginia, that you got to hold her accountable, no matter who's in office. But this also brings up the next subject too, in the state of New Jersey. As you know, that next month there will be an election between Republican candidate Jack Ciccarelli against Mickey Sherrill. Now, we all know that Mickey Sherrill is also no friend to the Second Amendment. And what's important is that you have to make sure that she does not win. So the people of New Jersey, make sure that you go out and vote and protect your rights, because I guarantee you, if Mickey Sherrill does win, she will continue Phil Murphy's unconstitutional gun laws. And unfortunately, New Jersey has the reputation of being known as New Germany as it relates to their Second Amendment rights. It's technically, for the last few decades or so, New Jersey has not had very much of a pro-gun governors, both in the Republican side of things as well as the Democrat side of things. So Chris Christie's one of them. He was no friend to the Second Amendment, although he's labeled as a Republican, but he really was no friend to the Second Amendment. Neither was Christie Whitman Todd and also other previous governors from New Jersey. So it's important that New Jersey, you go out and vote and elect the right candidates. Because again, we have to understand that, universal background checks do not do nothing to stop crime. And unfortunately, you cannot get that into the head to our elected officials. Basically, what universal background checks do is that it keeps a record of all the guns that you own. It's none of the government's business on what guns you own, because it leads to tyranny. Okay, we should not get permission from the government on what guns we can have and cannot have. That's why our founding fathers fought against issues such as that. That was something that the King of England wanted, universal background checks. The King of England was going to decide who can own guns and who doesn't. You go back to Nazi Germany. Adolf Hitler used universal background checks as a permanent document to keep in track of who owns guns and who doesn't. And if he finds out that any Jews own guns, they go to their house and confiscate it. And that's what led to a Holocaust. So that is why universal background checks are unconstitutional, because it's the government nosing into your life and your business, and they don't need to know. What you own is what you own, and the government needs to stay out of your lives. They have no business of knowing or keeping a track of what you own. So that is why Virginia and New Jersey, you have an important decision to make next month. Vote wisely, but most importantly, vote freedom first. Because if you elect the wrong person, chances are we'll spell disaster. I know pretty sure that many of you in Virginia had gone through this when Ralph Northam was the governor of Virginia, when he was passing unconstitutional gun laws. There have been many rallies in the Commonwealth of Virginia speaking out against Ralph Northam. And luckily, Glenn Youngkin has won, but it has taken 5 years for this injustice to be finally being resolved. And I just want to take a shout out to Gun Owners of America. Great job. That is why I strongly support Gun Owners of America, because they really speak for us. And also, what I'd like to talk about in the state of Maine. For those of you from the state of Maine, please listen up. There's going to be a vote going on whether or not if red flag laws are constitutional. So I'm going to read you about Gun Owners of America backing a a proposition that will try to prevent red flag laws from existing in the state of Maine. So I am going to read you this next press release from Gun Owners of America, and it says, on November 4th, Maine voters have the opportunity to stop red flag gun confiscation orders from becoming law. Citizens are being asked to answer 2 referendums questions on the ballot. Question 2 relates to red flag gun confiscation orders. It reads, do you want to allow courts to temporarily prohibit a person from having dangerous weapons if law enforcement, family, or household members show that the person poses a significant danger or causing physical injury to themselves or others? If passed, it would enact an Extreme Risk Protection Order Act. As a member of these orders are often issued expert, meaning that the firearms can be confiscated before the accused has the opportunity to appear in court and present a defense for themselves. This is a blatant due process violation that creates significant potential for abuse and false reporting, putting law-abiding gun owners at risk of unjustly losing their rights and suffering and lasting irreparable harm. The answer is plain and simple. Vote no on question 2, November 4th. So what this means, ladies and gentlemen, is that, to put it in a nutshell, red flag laws are not what most people think they are. Now, red flag laws may look good on paper, okay? These gun control groups try to sell you something that's not true. Most of these gun control groups who support red flag laws, such as the Brady Campaign, the Violence Policy Center, Every Town for Not So Gun Safety, and Moms Demand Action, and as well as the Southern Poverty League, they expect you to believe that red flag laws will prevent people with mental health issues from getting guns, or somebody who has a violent temper having any guns and to take it away from him. But here's the problem with that. Red flag laws violate due process, as it was mentioned in the press release. In other words, let's say, for example, you as a guy, you have a ex-wife or an ex-girlfriend who's disgruntled. They can falsely accuse you of something you did not do. So in other words, the law enforcement and the court is just going to take their word for her and just take your guns away before you're able to defend yourself. The way it should work is, if this person poses a threat, then what they need to do is go to court, and the judge will determine if this person is capable of causing harm or not. Because again, red flag laws are like, you're guilty until proven innocent, but we're all innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Red flag laws will deny your right to defend yourself, because anybody can be accused of anything. And same thing can happen with women as well. A woman can have an ex-boyfriend or an ex-husband who falsely accused her of, let's say, committing vandalism, making threats, or throwing rocks at their windows and what have you. And then the moment that the ex-husband reports it, then the authorities are just going to believe it and take this word for it. No. There should be due process before you determine to take somebody's weapons away if they are a serious threat. That is why we have what's called due process. Now, again, the gun control groups try to sell it as something as being safe, when reality is that it doesn't. Because in other words, it violates your right to due process. So it would be wrong to take somebody's guns away simply because they've been accused of being a threat to somebody when they haven't. So I clearly understand that there are certain people that shouldn't have guns, especially people who are wife beaters or somebody that has a violent temper. I get that, and I clearly understand we need to take the guns away from them, from those particular people. But before that is determined, you need to go through the processing system. Because again, anybody can be accused of anything. It's like you're guilty until proven innocent. Now, background check, now the universal background checks, same thing. These universal background checks may take a long time. You can make one minor error on the application and you're denied to own your gun. And not only that, they keep a lifetime record of all the guns you own, which in this case what led to the death of airport executive Brian Malalowski. It's none of the government's business on what guns you bought and what you have. That is why I am totally against universal background checks, because it violates constitutional rights. You don't register constitutional rights. You don't put an infringement on a constitutional right. And that's exactly what red flag laws lead to. Now, again, these gun control groups or these hack politicians, they'll say, oh no, we don't want to take your guns away. We just want sensible gun laws. Now, again, sensible gun laws is sugar-coated as we want to take your guns away. See, the gun control groups cannot be honest when it comes to debate. They always use this term, we don't want to take your guns away, we just want sensible gun laws. In other words, it's sugar-coated as they want to take your guns away. You're for my Second Amendment rights or you're not. I get tired of these politicians say, well, I'm not against you owning a shotgun, but I'm against you owning this. No, you're for my Second Amendment rights or you're not. And when politicians backpedal like that, you know not to vote for them. That these are the people that you want to avoid. So, again, it may look good on paper. See, red flag laws and universal background checks look good on paper, okay? And the gun control groups paint it as something as safety and reasonable, when the reality is that it violates due process and it causes an infringement towards a constitutional right. So for the people of Maine, you know what to do come next month. It is important that you do vote no on this proposition. Because again, if we allow these politicians to get away with this, they're going to continue to do further damage to our Second Amendment. You give them an inch, they'll take a foot. And if they take a foot, they'll take a whole yard. So that is why we need to get involved in the process and partake in the involvement in protecting our Second Amendment rights. It all starts with you as the law-abiding citizen. That is why I've been repeatedly have said that you got to call your legislators, your representatives, and always know where they stand. So it's obvious that Abigail Spanberger does not qualify to be the governor of Virginia because of her radical leftist views. And if you listen to her debate, she backpedaled a lot, saying one thing and saying another. Can you, the people of the Commonwealth of Virginia, trust Abigail Spanberger? And then my next question to those from the guarded state of New Jersey. Can you honestly say that you can trust Mickey Sherrill over Jack Ciccarelli? If you are from New Jersey and you're fed up with these corrupt Second Amendment laws, then you know who to vote for. New Jersey has an opportunity to set a better example than the state of New York. It's bad enough New York has a corrupt governor in Kathy Hochul, and worst of all, possibly, and I hate to think about it, that Zohan Radami could be the next mayor of New York, and I hope not. For the sake of the people of New York, I hope that he does lose. That is why you need to get involved and make sure that he does not win. Well, that is it for today for 2A Arsenal Roundup News. If you have any important legislation that you want to bring to my attention, just send me an email at RJ Espinoza, that's RJESPINOZA .roundupnews@gmail.com. Tell me what the legislation is about. Will it benefit your Second Amendment rights? Will it cause a harm on your Second Amendment rights? Again, just let me know what state you're from and who you are. And if you want me to keep your name anonymous, I will. But just send me the information and I will look at it. And then hopefully I will bring it up on my next podcast. But until then, remember, be armed, be safe, be vigilant. Carry a firearm to protect your home and family and your community. The Second Amendment is not just about guns, it's all about freedom. Have a great day.